Welcome everybody to Extreme Power No Handling Autocross, and today we're dealing with the 1973 Land Rover Range Rover. So yeah, this is the first properly old off-roader that we're going to have on this series. And yeah, as you can see, what it's dealing with in its standard form isn't all that much in the way of power or torque from a 3.5 litre V8 engine. But it does only weigh 3,800 pounds, which is a lot less than some modern off-roaders. So yeah, it's got that going for it, but obviously it's going to lose a crucial part of its off-road capabilities in the form of its all-wheel drive system. But it's still going to have that high ride height, it's still going to have the suspension to deal with the off-road elements, so it does still have that going for it. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what this can do in comparison not only to the older vehicles on this series, but also in comparison to the more modern off-roaders that we've had before. So yeah, let's see what power and engines and the like we can put in this car. Yeah, firstly we're going to get rid of the all-wheel drive system. So as you can see, it does improve the acceleration slightly and maybe moderately the handling and braking, but yeah, the launch does suffer. But thankfully launch is only really an issue at the beginning of a race. So yeah, we can put the 6.2 litre V8 engine in, the 5.2 litre V10 engine, or the racing 7.2 litre V8. I think we'll put that in. Don't really use that all that often, so we'll give it that. We'll give some turbocharging as well. So we're already sat at a pretty massive 1070 horsepower. So let's up it some more. Let's see what we can get. So yeah, we're at 1279 horsepower with the turbochargers fully upgraded. And with this, yeah, we get a fair bit of extra horsepower, but as you can see we start to add more weight on, so I think we're going to leave that, to be honest. One of the obvious bonuses with this car is the fact it doesn't weigh quite as much as other off-roaders, compared to like the Cadillac Escalade for instance, which weighed a hell of a lot more than this. So yeah, it's got that going for it. So yeah, acceleration wise, we can do 0 to 67.306 seconds, 0 to 110.4 seconds, and if we had a big enough straight, 188 mph top speed. But obviously we do not. So yeah, that's the stats there in terms of handling and braking. Not all that great, but could be a lot worse. But yeah, the acceleration is decent, and yeah, it's actually got some of its launch back despite only having rear wheel drive. And yeah, it weighs 98 pounds less than it did before, but it's got an engine that's more than twice as big as last time, and yeah, obviously well over 1,000 extra horsepower, and you know, nearly 800 pounds-feet of extra torque. So yeah, we're going to be asking this car to deal with a lot of extra power and torque, but like I said, it still does have some of its off-road capabilities, and it is quite lightweight for an off-roader. So yeah, nonetheless, let's get out there and see what it can do. So let's see if an old car that is an off-roader can do better than older non-off-roader vehicles, because yeah, that's been the case for most cars on this series. So yeah, I do love the fact that we have a classic Range Rover on this game, and hopefully we get to see this kind of vehicle in future Forza games. But yeah, whether or not it's going to do any good here is obviously yet to be seen, but I do have some confidence in the fact that it is obviously still has some of its off-road capabilities. And yeah, even though it is dealing with a lot of power, it's obviously not going to be able to put all of that power down. So I do feel like it's going to maybe surprise us. I hope. I would like it to, because it is a car I really rather like, and I would like to finally break the two-horse race that's going on in this series, where all the cars are bunched together and then the newer cars are bunched together above them. So I hope this can break that cycle. Certainly got a decent rate of speed. And it'll also be interesting to see what it can do against the likes of the Chevrolet Colorado and the Cadillac Escalade, both of which were also all-wheel drive with a rather large amount of ground clearance and some off-road capabilities. Chevrolet Colorado more so than I get in the Escalade, but I still had some in terms of the Escalade. especially since they didn't come anywhere. Well, the Colorado didn't quite get towards the top of the leaderboard, but the Escalade did. It was outmatched by another Cadillac in the form of a limo, which is still a really rather weird anomaly on this series, to be honest. I really don't get why that car was so quick, and certainly why we're, especially with the choices that we've been making, while we're struggling to actually beat that car. We're certainly going to struggle to beat it when we're hitting cliff walls, which is not very useful. Killed a lot of our speed there. So yeah, I predict this is going to be better on the off-road elements than the on-road elements, because it certainly wasn't all that great even in stock form on the tarmac. Certainly more at home with the rough stuff. Well, despite a few mistakes there, that is not our slowest time at 2 minutes 48.035 seconds. So hopefully with this being a flying lap and lacking in mistakes, we will get a quicker time than that. Really not enjoying trying to put the power down though. Controller is vibrating like mad, which I guess is no surprise with the huge amount of extra horsepower we've given the vehicle. But that is the whole point of this series. It's not called extreme power for nothing. It is for the most part though really rather controllable. Brakes haven't been as worrisome as some older vehicles have been, and yeah, even though obviously it's dealing with a lot of power going for those only rear wheels, it's for the most part okay. Obviously it's got oversteer, but outside of that, no real issues, to be honest. Say that as we just do that, and I am sorry for hitting the toggle there and making the camera go sideways. I was kind of fretting about going off the cliff. Turns out a Range Rover with rear wheel drive and more than 1200 horsepower makes for a decent drift car. Much better down that straight. Somehow the brakes stopped us before going headlong into a wall. Obviously we did slightly tap it with the rear end. Yeah, weirdly enough, I think it's the on-road elements that are going to make this car suffer a little bit. Seems to struggle to put the power down a little bit more. And yes, only a slight improvement at the end of the day there at 2 minutes 45.132 seconds. So yeah, unfortunately this hasn't done as well as hoped, and yeah, has fallen to the curse of older vehicles not doing quite as well as newer vehicles. But saying that, it is the quickest of the pre-2000 vehicles, beating the Mercedes-Benz 280 SL by more than 4 seconds, as well as the Meyers Manx, Ford Escort RS Cosworth and the Hillman Imp. And yeah, it's not quite that far off the Honda S2000, to be honest, which is the lowest car in the post-2000s side of this series, with a time of 2 minutes 39.626. So yeah, we're less than 6 seconds behind a Honda S2000, which, when you consider that car had rear wheel drive as standard, so it's meant to deal with it, and it's a sports car, so Granted, that doesn't quite help on the off-road elements, but it certainly makes up for it when it comes to the on-road elements, where this car really struggled in terms of putting the power down onto the tarmac, whereas on the off-road bits it was a fair bit quicker. But yeah, a lot slower than the likes of the Subaru WRX STI from the previous episode by nearly 10 seconds, and way off the Cadillac XTS Limousine by nearly 20 seconds. So yeah, we're still yet to beat the Caddy Limo, which still stumps me to this day to what car is going to beat it. But I hope that we will find a car one day that will beat it, but unfortunately it wasn't this car, which is a shame because, like I said, I do really rather like it, but with that amount of power and the lack of all-wheel drive and, you know, obviously no extra handling parts, it's, yeah, really struggled to put the power down, and consequently wasn't able to be as quick as I hoped. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.